would you looky at what we have here. Yeah, guys, I didn't forget about this project. I've just been awful busy doing things this summer between painting houses and vacations and working on the L9000, doing things I wasn't planning on doing. This thing got put to the wayside. I don't think I've touched it since whenever I made the last video was right around that time. It was still chilly out. I want to say, was that before Memorial Day? Man, I don't know. But, yeah, today's or tomorrow, I think. Anyway, it's the end of September. Tomorrow or the next day is the 1st of October. So we got to get after it. I need to get a cab on this thing and get it so I can steer it. And I don't know, maybe run it. We'll see. There's a lot that's got to go on before that happens. Namely, brakes, drive shaft, cab, So that's a pipe dream. That's not happening until later on, much later on in the winter. But what I did is I had a machine home to do some other stuff, and I just shoved this thing up into the driveway. This is the old cab that I originally bought, thinking it was going to be my savior, and for things like that, it's not. But it's going to be my test case. We are going to use it to get the hole cut for the tunnel, and if I got to do anything on the firewall, we're gonna use this. So what I plan on doing is I got to gut it right now. I'm gonna get these doors off, and I'm gonna get things like the headliner and the dashboard, and probably rip the carpet out and sill plates and all these interior pieces. The rest of this is going in the trash. Try to get that rear window out. We gotta get these side panels out. I got one, but off the other truck I bought, I love to use this slider, so hopefully I can get that out in one piece. I don't know. And as soon as that's all done, we're gonna take I don't know, probably torches, guys, because that's the easiest. And we're gonna cut the A-pillars, and then we're gonna come down on the B-pillar about here, and we're gonna cut it all the way around. Doors will already be off already, and that way basically I have a firewall and a floor that's still got a little bit of rigidity to it, and we're gonna be able to easily sling that with this little machine and set it up on here, and then I'll start making relief cuts in the tunnel. Once I have that done, dang, sorry, I swatted at a bee, and you know how they are this time of year, obnoxious. Once I have that done, I'll be able to transfer measurements over to the good cab, but I'll also be able to test fit the rear cab mounts, which we've got those right here. They are still part of the old frame rail on that truck, but anyway, we got something to work off of, and in one way or the other, we'll get those welded on, and that'll be somewhere right about here. Anyway, and we can move on with that project, because here in 2 weeks, this truck, my Lodestar, is going to, it's only been to one show this year, but it's going to its last show of the year, over in Imlay City, Michigan. It's the ATHS chapter, Southeast Michigan chapter show, a little 2-day show this year, so I'll be trailering her over there. And, well, side note, I think this truck's going to be changing, guys. I'm not letting the cat out of the bag just yet, but some of you may have seen that I have this flatbed dump for sale right now. So if anybody's interested, it's not sold yet. By the time you watch this, it is available. But all the cylinders and tank and all that stuff's for sale with it. But anyway, we're gonna do something else back here. and I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger because it's going to be different by a long shot than what we got here. So anyway, but this truck is, as soon as that show's over with, I would love for the following weekend, I think I'm actually going to pull this flatbed off, and then I am trucking this chassis over to work, and putting her to bed for the wintertime. And that gives me this whole barn to make the cuts I need to make on that cab, to get everything stripped down, to get everything sanded, to get everything body worked, and to get it in paint. I do have to rustle up some more parts. I've got to find a proper core support for a 3500 HD. I've got to find another fender. I've got one, but I got to find a second one. And I've got to get a hood. Oh wait, I lied. I bought a hood. It's right there. Forgot about that. So anyway, I've got to get all those pieces rounded up and all this done up the way I want it. And I don't have to be moving things in and out then. And we're going to get some paint laid on that. I'm also going to make a jig so that I can lift that cab up by the door frames, basically, with that engine crane. And that way we can wheel that thing underneath my chassis, and we'll do the final set once once the paint's done. So sometime this winter we'll be getting on that, and then we can hook up steering column, which I still have to get. Well, I have one, but I want a different one. And but we'll be able to hook up steering column and at least get it to steer, so that way if we want to pull it, we can steer it at the very least, or lock the steering wheel, as it were, maybe. But then we can start monkeying around with all that fun little stuff. We can get a windshield put in it. We can start getting all the engine controls, clutch figured out, brake lines ran, new brakes put on the truck. All those fun things get to start to happen. And the hope is that I can get the cab basically all mostly buttoned up and put on, and then we will be able to address scratch building the flatbed, get that complete, and this thing's going up for sale. So got a few months here to work on it, but this is my project. And a lot of the hard stuff's done. We've stretched that frame, we've got the engine and transmission in, we've done all the work to the engine, so a lot of it's done. But anyway, I'll stop yapping. We got a lot of work to do today and tomorrow to get this thing done and moving on towards this project. So if you guys have been waiting for this, here we go. We're finally back at it. All right. Oh, took about 3 hours, but we got a pile of good parts. Got the rear window out without breaking it. It was because it was actually already out at the bottom. It was rusted free. But yeah, she's crusty old girl. Mostly a little soft there. We definitely had a leaky heater core that's rusted through, and yeah, that side she done. So obviously that's been rusted. As usual, can't get the windshield out in one piece, so we're going to take the old Sawzall there and then torch around the back, and when we pull it off with the machine, windshield will come with it. All good window and door seals, all kinds of good parts, body harness and engine, maybe what's left of engine harness, interior harness, all intact. Heater box, we'll seal that up, new heater core, all that good stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I have everything I need off of it, but we're not going to get rid of the bottom anytime soon, so it's time to start cutting.
The floor's on fire. See? And the chair.
And some of the cool stuff you find in old trucks. Look at this bad boy. My school picture, 1989. Ooh. Ross, 1989. Look, a little effing Ross. Badass.
Yes! That's awesome!
Alright, well, it's the next morning, and boy, this is a mess. And I want to start fitting this thing. I gotta make some initial cuts, because there's no way it's even close. But make some initial cuts and then start fitting this thing onto that frame. But before I do that, I gotta get rid of all this junk. So most of the stuff I'm not gonna touch for a good long while. So it's all gonna go across the street into my school bus storage. But I'm thinking I'm going to do some power washing first. I think I'm going to try to power wash that carpet. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. I might just use it. But it's nasty. So I think I'm going to spray it down with some cleaner. And then, power wash and see what it looks like. And we'll go from there. And then start loading all this stuff up and carting it across the street and getting it stored. Because it'll be realistically probably wintertime before I'm ready to get after it. I'm going to store the doors. They're not in good enough condition where they're worth much of anything. So that way I got extra. I've already got a set of power window regulator assemblies and inner door panels, but now I've got 2 sets in case something's bad. So, and I think I need one of those pieces of glass too for the driver's side. So we're gonna hold on to that stuff. But otherwise, we gotta get some trash moved. So it's time to get after it. Everything's cleaned up. I'm a little bit of a neat freak, guys. I can't handle that. We gotta have room to work. So that's all washed and put away until I need it. I figured it was a good time to power wash it because it's almost 80 degrees today in October, or almost October. And when I go to put that back in the truck, it's probably gonna be below freezing. So might as well get most of the grime off and not have to deal with that in the winter. Most of those interior parts will probably get painted, I'm thinking. But oh, and as you might have seen in that time lapse, I did decide to trash the carpet and the floor mats. Too far gone. That shit was nasty. We're not gonna deal with that. So it might be rubber floor, it might be carpet, it might be something else, but it ain't gonna be what was in this truck one way or the other. So I am gonna start making some cuts here before I even set this on. So I'm gonna work under the assumption that this flat portion of the firewall can stay. That may or may not be the case, but I'm gonna cut right along this seam. And then widthwise, this transmission, I gotta take some measurements to see where the cut will be right here in the floorboard. It will get wider than what this is. And then we'll come back. Again, I'll take some measurements, but probably at least to here, I'm thinking the front of this raised portion in the floor. So we'll start with all that. We'll take some measurements, lay it out, make some cuts with the angle grinder, and then we can get some straps or chains or something up in here and lift this thing up and set it and see what we think. Well, I'm sorry guys, but I kind of sort of forgot to push play. So we got some good, some bad. The good is we've got all kinds of room, and we probably don't need to cut the real cab all the way out at this angle. The bad is that some of this frame around the doghouse is going to have to go to clearance these motor mounts now. We've actually got all kinds of room behind the block. The motor could have actually gone back a little farther, but unfortunately that would have actually caused, and you can see right there, what's left of that old stud is lined up plus or minus a ½ inch in the motor mount hole. So, but one way or the other, we don't have the clearance we need. So we've got to, here I've got probably 3.5 inches in here, and those cab mounts do have some height to them. I don't have any. They were all shot, but I want to say they're close to 3 inches. We don't have much clearancing to do. So I think what I'm going to have to do, to be honest with you, is man, I hate to say this, but I really don't want to weld cab mounts on, I think, until I have a set of isolators, because just in case that rear set is a different height, or I don't, once it's welded, it's welded. I don't want, not that it can't be redone, but I don't want to redo it. And I also don't want to cut any more of that flange off than I have to. So, I dare say we might be done for the moment. As expected, my downpipe didn't fit, so back to the drawing board on that. Yeah, the only other thing I could see being an issue with this setup is the fuel filter block versus the master cylinder, because this engine is sitting higher than it was by just a little bit, and it was tight before. So we may need to look at, unfortunately though, there's some hard lines going to it, so I don't know if I might be able to clock this portion, though I don't remember if that could be. It is a separate part of the housing, so if I could clock that a little bit, that would probably clearance around the master cylinder, and it's close. It might just make it anyway. Yeah. All right, time to get online, see what we can find for cab mounts. All right, well, I just went inside, spent almost an hour doing a bunch of research, but I have ordered, going to come in this week. I ordered the energy suspension kit. It comes with all 6 of the bushing sets for the cab, as well as new ones for the core support as well, whenever I source that. And also ordered all new, found the part number, the GM part number for those original bolts, and ordered a set of 8 bolts as well. So, I'm looking at this and I think we're going to be okay right now. We are, I don't know if you guys can see that, but let's see if you can see it over there. We are touching right there, right where that frame, that 3500 HD frame bend is. But there's not much clearance right now between the cab mount and the cab. So I think we're going to lift up. By the time the front drops a little bit and this lifts up, I think we're going to clear by about a ½ inch. So, but worst case, if we have to, that's right there. And we'll just massage there and there. Massage. So, that being said, that's where we're at. That's what it's going to look like with the cab, the rest of it, but it's there. So, but yeah, guys, I think that's about does it for this one. I wanted to go a little farther, but we got to make this right. We got to make sure we cut as little out of that new cab as possible. And so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Next time we come back, we'll finish that part of the process, and then we'll start transferring all those measurements over to that cab.